Another 4 goals, this time against the mighty Gent, but we start our journey to winning the Europa Conference League, to winning and completing the set, to be able to say we won it all and be the only club that means that. Because no one, there's one Champions League, there's one Premier League, there's one whatever, is playing in this competition. Let's be real. It's our opportunity to go grab the ball by the horns and walk this competition, which we should. We should. And we started with a 4-2 win, and I could be happier, I can't lie. Like, defensively, there were some things to question. However, we did completely rotate today. And there are a number of performances I was really impressed by. And we'll start with Renato Veiga. Because in my last video, you guys, shout out you lot who have been really supporting the channel recently. It's been immense growth. I'm really happy with it. So make sure to hit like and subscribe. I appreciate that a lot. But I mentioned I wanted Renato Veiga to score his first Chelsea goal. And lo and behold, what do we get? We get a Renato Veiga goal. I said it's a celebration, we go nuts, he'd jump in the crowd. It wasn't quite that, but he did give it beans to the away fans, the Gent fans. I didn't realise he had a bit of a rivalry going on. I suppose, was he a Belgian team? No, he was a Swiss team. What am I on about? Either way, chocolate wars, I suppose. You've got Swiss, you've got Belgian, they're going at each other. Renato Veiga, he just said, I prefer my Lindor. So, either way, very happy with that goal. Mudryk did really well there. It was a good cross, and he had a really good game. Those two on the left-hand side were causing a lot of problems. Obviously, I know it's Gent, it's not too much to look into, but, for backup players, this was really good. We know that Cucurella's going to start, and we know that the form that Jadon Sancho's in at the moment, he's going to start. But we know Mudryk has had a tough time in general at Chelsea. We've seen bits and bobs. We've seen the talent that he's got. We've seen the raw attributes he's got and his pace that means he could be a player, but we haven't seen that develop enough. And that's led to the signings of your Netos, your Sanchos, etc. But it's good that he's getting his confidence up. And that was what today was really about. It's about building confidence. And we saw a number of new players developing in confidence, not just in Veiga, with some of his passing that he showcased throughout the season already. He's already impressed me, but today, getting his goal, showing what he can do on that left side link up with Mudryk, slipping in passes in behind. Very nice to watch. Mudryk taking on his man. He gets an assist for Veiga. But you even had Dewsbury-Hall getting a goal. And he should have had 2. He honestly should have, because Pedro Neto set up a brilliant potential goal. It was a great move on the counter. Neto just skins his man, puts on a plate for Dewsbury-Hall, and with his right foot, he puts it wide, unfortunately. And Neto was actually getting robbed of assists left, right, and rhubarb tonight. There was one cross he put in, and it was delicious. It was literally a cross that is screaming to be eaten up. It is screaming for a goal. It is saying, Badiashile, Disasi, I don't care which one of you, put that home. And it is worth looking up the miss if you didn't see the game, because I don't know how neither of them have put it in, particularly Disasi, but Badiashile's header maybe slightly skews him. Either way, inexcusable that either of them didn't score there, because the ball is... It's just appetising. It is a lovely whipped pass, and one of them has to put that home, but they didn't somehow. Either way, Neto did grab a goal despite being robbed of those 2 assists, absolutely crashing one in at the near post on his right foot. This guy does not really have a weak foot, which is quite weird, to be honest, for left footers, because it tends to be the right footers can have a good left foot, but not many left footers have good right feet. You know what I mean? They're not really ambipedal. Whereas Neto feels more like that. And yeah, he had a good game. I thought out wide we were good. But aside from that, there weren't a lot of great performances. It was very much a performance that was taking our foot off the gas as soon as we got a goal, and that's what even led to Gent getting back in the game. Even in the first half, I'd say the second half of the first half, we started to take our foot off the gas at 1-0 when we'd started quite brightly. And we could have been punished. We weren't. They weren't really troubling us. However, in the second half, we were punished once we'd already made it 2-0. And the defending on that is atrocious for me. Like, I do need to talk about this because I think, to be honest, it's been a long time now that I've kind of felt this. In his first few months at the club, I was a bit like, I kind of like Badiashile. And in the last year and a bit now, he has been putting the bad into Badiashile. I can't lie. He gives me the jitters when he has to defend. I'm not saying he's not a good passer of the ball. He can be quite good in that regard. But in terms of when it comes to defensively being switched on, I just don't think he has it. He gives me those nerves. He's given away a lot of goals last season in those positions. I remember one against Newcastle in the Carling Cup. But tonight, both the goals for me are on him not stepping up. Like, both those goals you can attribute to him playing them on. And you have to be switched on. You have to be succinct with your teammates. And I get it's a backup team, and they're not going to feel as fluid. It's just with Badiashile, it feels like a recurring issue from last season as well. So a little bit of concern there, I can't lie. Otherwise, the guy will probably end up being one of the casualties, one of the first casualties of the 8-year deal sort of players, right? I know we've sold the Aubameyangs from this ownership that we've bought, but I don't think we've sold any of the 8-yearers, the 7-8 yearers. That felt like a January onwards when Potter was there kind of thing, and Badiashile was one of those. So yeah, I'm not sold on him. And weirdly, Nkunku bags a goal. We had this conversation on my YouTube video recently. If you haven't seen that, go check it out. But anyway, in terms of your Jackson or Nkunku, and I said about how they offer completely different things. If you mashed the two together, if you amalgamated both their magic powers, you'd have the most elite striker. Because what Jackson gives you is someone who can hold it up, he'll run the channels, he'll press well. He might not be the most clinical, but he adds all of that. Whereas Nkunku sticks within the parameters of the box. You know where he's going to be. He's going to sniff out where to be for chances, and he'll put them away because he's very clinical. However, he doesn't give you what Jackson does. And I think today was a really good example of that. Like, we were playing Gent, so I wanted to see a bit more from Nkunku. There was maybe a back heel in the first half, but there wasn't really too much going on. He wasn't too involved. He doesn't press the same as Jackson. He doesn't do those kind of things. And you saw that, I think, today. I think Chelsea fans will be very aware of the differences in the two strikers that we possess. But what he did do is just pop up with a goal. And it was an important goal because it was at 2-1. You know, pressure not so much built, but we had let in a goal. Something could happen. They might get a corner and we'll let in another bloody corner. But he managed to just put the game to bed. Solid finish, although their keeper seemed to have holes in his gloves. I don't know, did anyone see this? Was there gaping holes in this guy's gloves? Because Dewsbury-Hall's goal and Nkunku's goal, if Bob Sanchez lets that in, we are losing our minds, Chelsea fans. Am I right? But I didn't really care. It put us 3-1 up. He did his job. Like I said, performance-wise, it wasn't an amazing one individually from him, nor Zhao, really. I thought Zhao started the game, the first 20 minutes, he looked like, oh, he's going to be flicking over people's heads and having flicks and doing all that. And then sometimes this just happens with João Felix. As much as I like him, I can see the talent in the player, he can be frustrating where he'll do a good action and it's time to release the pass. It's time to thread someone through or lay it off or whatever. And he'll want to take on another person, score a wonder goal. Like, that can be a bit of a problem with him. I think today it was a bit too head down and dribble rather than, looking up, looking at your teammates, etc. So I didn't think the two middle front men were too involved, but I thought the wide men were actually decent. As for Dewsbury-Hall, I mentioned there, he did get his goal. He missed his chance in the first half, but he scored the second one, and he follows that into the box really well. I'm not going to compare him to Frank Lampard. That would be ridiculous. But the run is Frank Lampard-esque in that regard, in picking up, sniffing the space where the ball's going to fall. He did well to an extent there. I thought they were going a bit overboard, punditry-wise, on his performance. I thought it was okay. We've seen he's had a bit of a shaky start to life at Chelsea, obviously coming from Leicester, but on the back of an injury. So I've kind of, given a bit of leeway in that regard. But today was probably one of his better performances. Played a good ball to Mudryk, who set up the first goal, I suppose. But there were a couple of moments he could have done a bit better. In fact, actually, after his goal, you saw the confidence kind of lift him. And I even liked that in his celebration. I was happy for the bloke because you just saw a bit of a weight lift. You saw him pointing his head and giving it, like, we went 4-1 up. He didn't need to be doing all that. But you could see it meant a lot to him, obviously. Like, this is a big move in his career. And he wants to prove that he does belong at that stage. So hopefully this is the start of him kicking on confidence-wise. Because, after that, he nutmegged the player and played a brilliant pass to João Felix. And João put his head down and dribbled and lost the ball instead of, we actually could have scored from that. But it was nice play from Keane and Dewsbury-Hall, so I was happy with that. It was a fairly comfy game. Like, we dealt with it how we should be dealing with it, realistically. We rotated the entire team. We even got to rest the players that are likely to come on at the weekend in Neto and Nkunku. They're your kind of first two calls of substitutions, really. And they came off. And we got to see Tyreek George. Even he impressed in the minimal minutes that he had. Cassadai. Guys, I just don't rate Cassadai, bless him. Like, he went for a bicycle kick, which I really like to see because that showed that a youngster's, he's got confidence to try things. I think that's nice. But I just feel like he's really clunky on the ball and he worries me. Like, if he was starting a Premier League game, I would be shitting myself. I can't lie. But, good on the kid. He did a job to a degree. We saw Geu come on, didn't really do a lot. Really, there's not really much to add in that regard. But like I said, this is how these Europa games should be treated. We ended up scoring 4. We shouldn't have conceded what we conceded. I was disappointed defensively. Like, the corner, if Badiashile steps up, they are both given offside. But even then, it's like, you can deal with that better. Why were there that many men free at the back on the one that came out from the corner for the first goal? I know Badiashile stepped up and that's partly why, but still, in the second goal, I just didn't cover themselves in glory. It was complacency. At the end of the day, it was complete complacency. That's what crept in. And realistically, if we had a midfield duo that would more be controlling of the ball, if we had our first teamers in midfield alone, I actually think you keep a clean sheet there, even with the antics we were producing defensively. I still think we would have just controlled the game a bit better. It would be a 4-0, realistically. But it was just disappointing to let those two goals, and particularly the late one, because I feel like Gent went forward about twice, and they scored twice. As for Jorgensen, did we learn anything? Did we learn whether he can displace Robert Sanchez? Because obviously that place is up for grabs. Robert Sanchez, although he had a couple of good performances before last weekend, it's obviously a position that Chelsea fans have worry, and naturally I'm very much the same in that regard. So did Jorgensen do enough to warrant a first team place? No, but not because he played badly. I just think we didn't learn anything from him. I didn't really look at either goal and think you could have saved that. And I don't think Gent went forward really other than that. I didn't think he had to do anything. I didn't think passing wise he did anything that made me go, wow, it's Edison in goal. I didn't, do you know what I mean? It was just, yeah, we don't know enough about Jorgensen. I feel like the minimal minutes we've seen have not been in games where you can even compare to Sanchez, but you kind of think, surely he is at least the same. I don't know. I don't know. But what we do know is Chelsea have won their first game of the competition that they will win and crown themselves the first team in history to have won it all. The others outside this competition, they're just jealous. They're haters. They can't, they're just hating from the outside. They want to be in here. This is where the real action's at, guys. Europa Conference League that's where the real ballers ball out. We haven't even picked Cole Palmer yet. we're saving him. We're saving him for the final. We're resting him already. But yeah, it was good that we rested those players. It was good that we got the confidence up, and Enzo Maresca is cooking up something nice at Stamford Bridge. It's good to see. It's a happy time to be a Chelsea fan in general, and we want to go into that weekend and into the international break high on confidence. We've got Forest at the weekend. We know they can be dangerous. We've seen what they've done at Anfield. I mean, Arne Slot has won 8 out of his first 9 games at Liverpool. They're no gimme, and Forest turned up there and they won. And we know that Hudson-Odoi scored against us last season. Teams against their old clubs, it always tends to be, a nightmare, particularly in Chelsea's case. I feel like they always score against us. So we need to be at it, but the players should be nice and rested after their game against Brighton because, none of them played tonight. Casado sat and chilled on that bench. So, that's good. It's good to see. We want to go into that international break buzzing and just gagging to watch Chelsea again, where we go to Anfield. And that's where we can make a statement. That will be the big test for this Chelsea side. We haven't seen. I know we played City opening day, but in terms of how we're developing slowly throughout the season, and it's staggered development. I'm looking forward to when we take a scalp of a Liverpool or an Arsenal. That's the sign where Chelsea have elevated to another level, because we haven't done that. We haven't done that under this ownership. It was since Tuchel that we beat either Liverpool, City, or Arsenal. None of them. So it's time to end that hoodoo. It's time for Enzo Maresca to do that and prove he's the man. And I'll be buzzing to see that. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of the performance tonight, or what you think of, if anyone impressed you enough that they should start. Like I said, I really liked Veiga. I just think Cucurella's been wicked, so it's a bit tough, isn't it? But realistically, we're all happy. Happy days at the Chels. Make sure to hit like and subscribe. It helps me out a lot. Lets YouTube know this is the place to be. It's the Chelsea place to be. It's your place to be. Up the Chels.